Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abassi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. Welcome back, everybody. I apologize for missing yesterday. I don't know if I have an excuse. I just couldn't focus on any recovery topics. And I think that's fair enough, That's that I couldn't really put together a cohesive topic yesterday. And I spent the day cleaning, and I had a stomach ache yesterday. That probably influenced my decisions as well. I was supposed to meet with my psychiatrist. She was about 15 minutes late. I had a stomach ache. I've had a stomach ache for a couple days now. It feels pretty good today, but we'll see. I made some, excuse me. I am still dealing with this, the repercussions from the flu. It just doesn't seem to clear out totally. So sorry for the clearing of my throat that will happen. But I made a vegetable paella 2 days ago, and it's super amazing. And we have some salmon. Sorry, it's probably annoying. I apologize, but we have some salmon that my husband grilled on planks out on the grill. And so I topped my vegetable paella, or both of us have been doing it, with the salmon, marinated salmon. Oh, it is so freaking good. I just don't know if all of those vegetables and the tomatoes in the paella is treating my belly very nicely. But it didn't stop me from having a mint chocolate chip Fat Boy last night. If you've never heard of a Fat Boy, go to the dessert aisle, the ice cream aisle, and look for Fat Boy. They have the absolute most amazing ice cream desserts on the planet, and they're big, just like the name implies. So I was able to have one of those yesterday. Maybe that's what fixed me. Maybe I needed the Fat Boy to turn me around. So here we are today, and I'm feeling pretty good. I feel energetic. My head feels like, it was better after I had the flu and I had been laid out for a week and a half, or definitely a week. And then taking naps every day. And as I've been getting back to my normal life, my head is starting to um, have the kind of painful symptoms again. So, I'm doing that typical juggling what I can and can't do, and regulating my pain versus what I enjoy, and all of that stuff, balancing that. But I did read something about spoon theory for people with chronic illnesses. And I'm going to do an episode on it, but I don't want to do it yet because I already had a topic for today. So isn't that funny? I had no topic yesterday, and today I have two topics. So look for an episode on spoon theory. I'd never heard of it. People called spoonies, people with chronic illnesses, are sometimes referenced in slang by a spoonie. So it's interesting. Look it up. Otherwise, I'm going to do an episode on it to explain my interpretation of spoon theory. But what I wanted to talk about today was, I heard somebody say this morning, am I filling my cup up? This is not the way she said it. I have to look up exactly. Live action, I'm going to look up exactly what she said. Here it is. What is filling your cup instead of draining it? So What in your day is actually filling your cup rather than draining it? And that's almost like what I was just mentioning. Like, I have to find that balance between what I can and can't do, what I want to do, but I shouldn't because it causes pain. That's like the balance of what's filling up my cup but draining it. And that is also, I feel like, from what I understand of spoon theory, that's kind of what it's about. It's about how much energy do you have for certain tasks and stuff. So, um, but again, I'm going to talk about spoon theory at a later date. Maybe I'll record after this and I'll do a separate episode on spoon theory. But so there's a couple topics today. The topic in the meeting was about being of service and how being of service is a way to fill our cups and not empty them, not drain them. But also, I wanted to talk about, I have a support group meeting, my second monthly support group meeting for creativity and vestibular recovery is today at 3 p.m. You can find information about it on any of my social media accounts. So Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram is where I posted about that. If you suffer from a vestibular disorder or migraine, you're absolutely welcome to come. It's like show and tell time for an hour. It's awesome. And then optimism. So these are the topics for today. And what I woke up with this morning is the normal hangover feeling. It's very ironic. It's we always joke in my house about what is ironic and what is coincidental, and it turns out that many of the things that we talk about that people say are ironic are not ironic. They're just coincidental. So I've started to doubt that anything is ironic, but I feel like it's pretty ironic that I'm a recovering alcoholic and I've been on this journey of sobriety for almost 9 years. And I wake up with a hangover every morning now because of my stroke and vestibular disorder. So you have to laugh at it, right? Anyway, what it used to be like when I woke up with a hangover in when I was an active drinker, I would wake up and the first thing I thought of was the cure for that hangover was more wine. And it was like this selfish loop that I woke up um, being so self-centered because I felt hungover, um, being self-centered about how can I fix it, and then putting more alcohol in my body, which only made me even more selfish. And the what I was reminded of this morning was that selfish loop that I was in back then and those self-serving behaviors that I was in before I got sober, and that really stark contrast between then and now, and my desire to live in service now. Only because I see from experience now that I learned it in sobriety that I'm not unique. I walked into meetings, I heard people expressing my own feelings and thoughts. They were saying them. And I'm like, I'm not the only one who thought this, who felt this way. And, um, and so it was like healing. It was the beginning of healing to understand that I wasn't alone and I wasn't unique. Um, and what it translates to today is wanting to be of service, is wanting to share my experience, strength, and hope so that other people, so as many people as I can experience that, oh, I'm not the only one who thought that or felt that. So there is this strength and connection and optimism that comes from being the victim of people being of service, victim in a good way, and then being able to like turn that around and be of service. And my creativity and vestibular recovery support group today is a demonstration of that. It's a demonstration of how I was sitting in my vestibular Disorder Association Conference. These are a lot of big words that I haven't messed up yet. I was sitting in the conference and I was listening to these people talking about how distraught they were and depressed that they lost their job because of their vestibular disorder, and how strange it feels to go to all of the so many specialists and not one specialist can in my situation at least can diagnose me all as one thing that's wrong with me. I have to go to a headache specialist, a stroke specialist, uh, a neurotologist, and all of these different neurological specialists that are pointing me to each other. Like they're just pointing me to go to the other one. And what that feels like. And I thought, how have I helped myself? Um, because they're not unique. How have I helped myself get through that? And the way I did is through creativity. And I have to also acknowledge the incredible impact of using our imagination in recovery. And that's really what helps me emotionally heal and be okay every day. I'm getting ready to paint another picture. This is a picture that one of my Facebook friends posted, and it's like a view from, I think it's in West Virginia, like Route 9, if for those of you who are familiar with the area. I think it's off of Route 9. It could be off of Route 7, but I think it's off of Route 9 and it's looking over the Potomac on an icy day. And so there's fog coming up and it's a lot of blues, but there's a little bit of like yellows and oranges in the sky. So that's what I'm painting next. I'm actually painting this one on a canvas instead of a pill bottle. So I'm graduating myself to an actual purchased medium. So I must be serious now because I actually purchased some canvases. Um, Anyway, and it's through like seeing a picture. I was telling my friend who I went to visit on Saturday, at her house, and she's a painter. I was talking to her about how painting and having conversations with her have really impacted my imagination and what I feel and see when I look at things around me. So it's through that impact that I saw this image that somebody posted on Facebook, because I go onto Facebook to post these podcast episodes, and I just, run across whatever I do when I'm in there. I try not to scroll. It takes a lot of self-control. But scrolling's only going to make my head start screaming at me. But I was fortunate enough that this picture came right up, And so I saved it to my computer and now I'm going to paint it. But it's that creativity, imagination that has been so freaking detrimental. Detrimental? No. Incredibly helpful I did mess up a word. There you go. To my recovery, my emotional recovery, which in turn really helps my physical recovery. So, um, when I got sober, I learned how to reach out and connect to people even though I didn't want to. And the way that I did that was they made me, I don't think I volunteered, they made me coffee maker on Saturday mornings at the 10 o'clock a.m. meeting on Route 9. Speaking of Route 9, and I didn't want to do it because it was uncomfortable. If I was coffee maker, I had to go like a half an hour early and make the coffee, which means whoever came in early to the meeting, I had to talk to them. And I had to, I don't know, shoot the shit. And I didn't like that. I didn't like it. How funny is that? Like, I did not like to say more than I needed to say. And today you can't shut me up. I'm even doing a podcast every day. But that's what the difference between when I wanted to isolate back when I was drinking and how much I've grown over this time of seeking a life of service. I didn't used to want to seek a life of service, but now I want to. Now I look at how am I the same as these people? How can I help them? Because in turn, it's going to help me. So is that like self-satisfaction? I mean, a little bit. Recovery is selfish. It has to be. In my opinion, I have to put my recovery first in order to be available to other people, in order to heal myself and then have more to give to others. Interesting. That makes me think of spoon theory again. Cool. I might have to align this entire episode to spoon theory, but it's like, how much do I have to give to myself to heal? How much energy do I have to give to myself to heal? And then how much can I have left over in order to be of service? So today I try to live um, thinking, what would my recovery program have me do? What would my sobriety program have me do in this instance? And so when I was sitting in that vestibular conference and hearing people talking about some of their emotional suffering, I did think, what would my sobriety program have me do? And I started a support group, and I started a support group for people that were lost, because I was lost. So today is that second creativity and vestibular recovery support group, and it's the point is to like link our imagination with creativity, with possibility, with a way of meditating, um, with being able to connect with other people, and in turn, just finding a little bit of peace and serenity, because that is what helps me remain emotionally balanced. Because I've got a lot of crazy going on. Every day I have a lot of crazy, and I'm getting better at being my own, advocate, in life, but also like, remember when I said that, I'm trying to think of it's like when I'm not feeling well in vestibular recovery, sometimes I'm at this like crossroads every day. This happens every day, where I'm like, okay, I want to walk my dog 2 miles, but the other path in front of me is you really shouldn't walk that far because you're going to find yourself too far away from home. You're going to get dizzy. You're not going to feel well, and then you're going to have to sleep when you get back because you pushed too far. Again, spoon theory. Um, so I ask myself, if I was my own mother, what would I tell myself to do? And I would tell myself to go down the short path, to not walk the 2 miles. So that doesn't mean I can't walk my dogs. It just means to find some sort of figure out how much energy do I have to spend, and and then always have some in reserve, I think, because that also helps me be of service to others. How well am I being a puppy parent if I walk my dog 2 miles and then I get back and I don't even have the energy to fill up their bowl of water, you know? Um, so anyway, I think that creativity is helping me find that balance of how much energy I have to do something like paint, to do something like this podcast, and also break away from self-pity and then now being able to be of service and share this experience, this creativity experience with others. I'm breaking free from my ego a little bit too. And so I can be of service to myself emotionally. I can be my own mother and also be of service to others. So when I think about that line that somebody mentioned in the meeting this morning, what is draining your cup versus filling it? I feel like it's a really, really delicate balance for me between what is draining my cup and what is filling it because so what I want to do today is I want to shampoo the carpets in my bedroom because we have a little dog pukage over here to my left. Sorry, that's gross, but I do. So I want to do that today. I want to clean out my closet in the bedroom and I want to paint a little bit today. I want to do my creativity in vestibular recovery support group today, and so I also have a friend I want to call. I want to call my dad. So that's the list of things that I want to do today. So I have to figure out what are the things that are going to drain my cup and what are the things that are going to fill it, right? So, um, I want to call my dad. That's going to fill it. I want to call my friend. That's going to fill it. But those are not without draining it a little bit. It takes a lot of energy, just like it does for me to record the podcast. It takes a lot of energy for me to carry on a conversation. You lifetime listeners know how hard I work at being able to remember what I'm saying and finish a sentence and actually circle back to have a point. I work really, really hard at it because I used to be good at it at work. And I'm passionate about it. And I feel like I've really gotten it back, a lot of it. Um, but I have to work really hard and it drains my cup. It's not like I would be able to go back to work and do this all day long to have conversations. I just couldn't do it. I would have to um take an hour break between each conversation I had with people. Like that's not normal. So, anyway, getting on the phone, it fills my cup, but it also drains it a little. Um, Painting. Uh, there is only so much energy I have to be able to focus on a canvas. So, again, that's filling my cup because it's really meditative for me, because I feel like I'm actually transporting myself to a place. That's one reason why I like to paint because I can't travel. So I use painting as a way to transport myself to whatever place it is that I'm painting. And I really get to look at the sky and all the colors in it. I almost feel like sometimes I get to enjoy the place a little more than I would if I was there because I wouldn't take the time to focus on all the colors in the sky if I wasn't trying to match them to paint. Um, so that's enjoyable for me. I'm draining my cup right now a lot. I was feeling very energetic, but I think I'm draining my cup a lot right now. So, and then things like shampooing the carpet, I wouldn't say that's filling my cup other than it's making me feel accomplished. So I guess that's filling it up a little, but it's physical, so it's draining it a lot. So there's a lot of like, this fills up my cup a lot and drains it a little. And then there's some things that drain my cup a lot, but fill it up a little. So there's a lot of like meaningful practices that I can emotionally and spiritually replenish my cup. And there's just so much that I need to know when to say when. So I have some of that in reserve, some of that emotional and spiritual energy in reserve. So it's a lot of balance. It really is. Um, so I think I'm going to stop there. I actually have even more. I guess I have three topics today. I also, maybe I can just touch on it a little bit. This idea of having optimism. I heard the same person this morning also said, making my optimism come true. That is a line from a quote from Christian Larson, which I was looking up. Who is this Christian Larson guy? I think I still have it up. And he was an American author from 1874 to 1954. He was an American New Thought leader and teacher, and he wrote a bunch of books. And I was looking up because this individual read the quote in the meeting this morning, and there was a lot that kind of spoke to me. Um, it was like making my optimism come true, which was the first thing that spoke to me. Like looking at optimism as an action, not just something, not a feeling, you know? I think of optimism as a feeling. I even did at the beginning of this episode. I said, I feel optimistic. Well, this quote leads you to more of thinking of optimism as an action. It's something that we do. It's a way of being resilient and strong. Um, so like optimism could be equated to putting the smile on your face so that it happens on the inside, you know, wearing a cheerful expression so that you feel that cheerfulness on the inside. Um, Speaking in positive and what's the word I'm thinking of is like weightless words, like words that lift people up so that that is what happens around us, so that our connections are lifted with us. Even if we don't feel it on the inside, you know, we can cultivate that. We can cultivate the optimism on the inside by doing, but we can also use optimism to make us do, you know? Um, and that is what I try to use with my creativity. I try to um, use my imagination and optimism to walk into my studio space and paint something. Um, that is that is a way of liberating me from a feeling of isolation that I tend to default to in recovery. Um, it started with my alcoholism, but I'm not unique. And I know that as I talk more and more to people in stroke recovery and vestibular recovery, that I'm not unique in that realm either. And I think that humility keeps me teachable, like I was talking about yesterday, and it helps me to build my community and this community where you guys keep coming back. I mean, I'm overjoyed. I can't even put it into words that this community continues to grow. And all I do is keep showing up. I keep talking about what's going on between my ears. Like recovery is hard work. Um, but it's a lot easier than self-destruction. And it's so easy to start going down that path of self-destruction when things happen in our lives that we didn't plan for. Having a stroke, having a vestibular disorder, being a drunk, you know, being an alcoholic. Like none of us were thinking when we were younger, you know what I want to have? I can't wait. I can't wait to grow up. I want to be a drunk. And then I'm hoping like 5 years later, I have a stroke. And then I just want to be left completely disabled and have to leave my job and not be able to ever ride a bike or drive or run again. You know, I mean, that's really, it's sad to say it. And it sounds kind of awful that I laughed while I was doing it because it's so ridiculous that life did not go as I had planned. But there are amazing things that have happened that I didn't plan either. And one of them is downstairs in this house. You know, my husband has been something that I never imagined I would be gifted a man like that. Never. Um, and that alone is like it allows me to recognize when I just think about him, I am able to recognize that not all things have been torn away from me. Um, that there are gifts inside a lot of pain. And if I live with faith and I try to be of service and I show up for myself, if I show up for myself, then I'm able to show up for him. I'm able to show up for you. I'm able to show up for the vesties in the support group today. And that is the best that is in me. Some days, the best that is in me is to just show up. And when I do, then I start dealing with that delicate balance of what's filling up my cup, what's emptying my cup, How can I keep some reserves so that I can be of service to other people? So that's where I'm going to start. Stop. Bam. Mic drop. Thanks for showing up. I'll talk to you tomorrow.